a lot of rumors lately about Reigns of Power, a new TV show that came out. The producers were going to get pushed aside, sacked, whatever word you want to use. Then there's talk about Amazon just totally redoing season 1 since it was so horrible and had so many negative reviews, right? Then they try to cheat in the numbers. But the one thing nobody thought about was the movie sets itself and some of the waste. Now, this is hearsay, but we're going to go ahead and read the article, talk about what the article says. So, serious concerns raised in New Zealand. That's what the NZ stands for, New Zealand, where they film most of the Reigns of Power, even the old Lord of the Rings movies, about the environmental impact of major productions, including this one, the Amazon Reigns of Power. The picture 3 scenes: a shelter clearing, standard tree sketches skyward, trunks pale against the dark soil, leaves dappling the ground like golden dollar coins. Another maelstrom of white flakes is carried eddies by the wind. Our third sheer cliffs, a thick with white snow, icicles hanging like shards of glass. Scenes like this have formed the visual signature of the on-screen adaptations of Lord of the Rings, including Amazon's latest monster budget offering, Reigns of Power. The association has helped from the bedrock of decades New Zealand tourism campaigns, showcasing the country's pristine environments to the world. But the tree trunks and the clearing are not all part of, oh man, that's a heck of a word right there. What does it say, the A word? 9mm hectares of native forest. Areas 9mm hectares of native forest. They are carved of polystrene. The thousands of scattered leaves of woven polyester. The soil is actually a mess of plastic and bark chips. The white flakes are shaved of polystrene, and the cliffs were soon to be crushed into fragments and taken to landfill. A multitude of sets of trash are dumped in the wake of major film productions. So what they're saying is all the waste that they used is not snow, it's not icicles. It was the polyester and the polyestrine that they used for snow and stuff that they wasted on the cliff. And now they're going to have to take it to the trash dumps after the production was done. Workers involved in Amazon's Reigns of Power, as well as other national studio production in New Zealand, say that behind the glamour and cash flow of the industry is touted for life-serious concerns about enormous environmental impacts, including emissions and waste, partly underwritten by New Zealand's government. They say the true size of the environmental cost is typically hidden from the public by studio walls, and because some crew members are afraid to speak out because of risk of being blacklisted for raising concerns. In other words, that crews members that might not agree with all the waste or what's going on, they don't speak out because they won't get a job no more, to be blacklisted, and no other companies will hire them either. The Guardian revealed on set photographs of internal communication and interviewed 6 production workers on a condition of the anomaly, including 4 who worked on Reigns of Power and others who worked on other major productions and were familiar with the processes. The interview said they believed the industry could and should do better, and New Zealand's government could do more to regulate environmental impacts. I'm speaking because I like film, I like working with film, I want to continue the industry, but not in the way it's currently said. In the Reigns of Power and the other majority international studio film productions, it's appalling what's happening, and most people don't know about it. And if people knew destructive the whole road is, they would think twice. I remember the old Lord of the Rings movie. There was a thing about at the end of the movie when you see like no animals were hurt and making in the movie. Well, apparently their animals were. I guess somebody forgot to feed the sheep one weekend. There was a holiday set, and everybody went home, and a couple of sheep had died or something like that. There was a story about that too. And stuff happens on set just like it would anywhere else. If huge corporations want to come to this country and use beauty that's here, there is a duty to preserve the beauty, says Joe, who worked in multiple large productions. They're getting tax cuts, then they were left with the trash. It's all heartbreaking. I feel like New Zealanders are being completely taken advantage of. Compared to our colleagues abroad, New Zealand is not even trying, says Sam. And the worker who has been employed on major international film productions across New Zealand and abroad. Mountains of waste. Leaked international communications from Reigns of Power Systemically team was fully appointed almost a year into production in January 21. Indicated the team was struggling to get to grips the size of the problem. The environmental impact of the industry and the show is enormous. One memo on staff reads, after holding discussions with the crew, they write every single person who's spoken concerned about the environmental impact. But, by July 21, they write the first season of the show, which is equivalent to around 3 or 4 films, had generated roughly 14,300 and 86 tons of carbon dioxide. Damn. Jeez, oh Pete. 5 times what the British Film Commission estimates average tentpole or blockbuster film will produce. Calculating how much waste a production has sent in the landfill is more difficult. The team knows that the figures won't capture the total waste as the company was using multiple vendors, and we still have yet to count. So quite a few people were hired, I guess, to come in and clean up the set, so they don't know how much waste was produced. One vendor reported collecting 11,433 cubic meters of landfill waste so far this season 4, and half Olympic-sized swimming pools. The second collected 35 meters of soft plastic and cubic meters of landfill. A third reported having 355 tons of landfill waste and a rate amount 25 London double-decker buses. Jeez, oh Pete. All that for a movie set. You wouldn't think that, but damn. The team has success with some initiatives: recycling office paper, waste of batteries, installation of electric vehicles, charging stations of other studios, including reusable water bottles, encourage a crew to eat vegetarian once a day or week. I'm not even sure how that's supposed to do with disposal. Compared to recycled cubic meters of waste, but the scale of disposal remains enormous. As estimates were calculated up to July 21, final figures would likely be higher. The wrap post-production work continued until 220 and 222. Oh man, I can't imagine all that. You'd have to be on a movie set to see why there's so much waste, but when you figure there's camera crew, there's film crew, there's people assisting it, there's set builders, set designers, you got producers, directors, you got the actors, the assistants, and all that goes into it, and you figure they're eating every day, there's trash every day, there's set waste, and they put all, I can't imagine. Workers say that while some sets were shipped offshore for reuse, others were trashed. Large quantities of containment waste were still sent to the last landfill, much of which was the workers believe could have been avoided with planning and minimized contamination and recycling materials. On the Rings of Power, these massive ice walls and rock wall sets, they smashed into a million pieces, and if anyone went outside and saw one of these big productions and saw how many skip bins are going out every day, truckloads and truckloads and truckloads of polyester and timber, all the rest of it mixed up in plastic, and really just thrown it to a hole in the ground, they said. So there's that one scene where you saw Galadriel, and they showed even a Super Bowl commercial before the TV show came out, where she's on an ice wall and she's stabbing it, trying to climb across. Apparently all that got wasted and, torn down a hole, like they said. As the season wrapped up, the sustainability team wrote that their work has so far been largely diagnostic. As we figured out what's going on, we could identify the issues and figure out how things might have done differently moving forward. They wrote next season we could do things right from outside, the changes, and if occurred, will come to the late for New Zealand. The production left open to film season 2 in the UK. Hopefully they're going to just redo season 1. Just get a whole new cast and crew, new writers, and just scrap season 1, man. Hopefully the rumors about that's true. At least fire the showrunners for totally trashing. I don't even want to get into that. A spokesman for Amazon declined to respond on record to individual questions and Pacific Productions of final carbon footprint, waste footprint, disposable sets, water use, waste disposal practice, they said in a written statement. Sustainability practices in New Zealand for the first season of Lord of the Rings of Power, either met or exceeded industry standards, even during the height of the pandemic, and the production made every effort to be good corporate citizens and was compliant with New Zealand environmental laws and regulations. Usually that transfers to we paid off the right people. They said the sustainability staff enabled the production to successfully achieve a carbon footprint that was lower than industry benchmarks, but declined to add their statement what the final carbon footprint or benchmarks measured is against. The spokesman said the company had worked with local vendors who helped production donate water from stage tanks to local departments, plastic for agricultural fencing, and divert many other production materials for the community for donation, reuse, and recycle, right? So this is a very long article. I won't get into it, but apparently there is a law. Wow. New Zealand's Hobbit law lobbied for Peter Jackson, number of Lord of the Rings production members 2010, means even full-time film workers are broadly treated independent contractors, so they cannot bring grievance case against unfair dismissal. Precarious employment can add to the intensity of high-pressure competitive environment of film sets where the priority is competing projects on time and budget. Gene Harris, the president and founder of Green Spark Consultancy, Said film workers work for the environment with very narrow focus and complete hierarchy and domination, and do not have necessary the freedoms to speak up. If you go to any production right now and spend a few minutes with the crew, they could tell you exactly what's wrong and exactly what could be done better for sustainability perspective, only if they had the time and the back end of superior or had a bit of budget, says Harris. I didn't know they actually made laws over there about that. I guess it's been a problem from before, right? So basically, New Zealand, they're saying that they should review some of the laws, make it a little bit tougher, that the Lord of the Rings just had too much waste when they came in. And I guess from New Zealand's standpoint, it's a very beautiful country. I know if I lived there, I wouldn't want to see all that waste either. Especially for people that don't even live there. They're just there to make the movie and leave. So basically, you're inviting people into your country to trash it. You're taking money, but the environmental impact still stays.